Guys, so step one to making a Milky Way tumbler is you're going to need a solid tumbler. I sanded this one already. This is a 20 ounce. I don't know, but it's 20 ounce. But it has like the look of a Stanley. So now we're going to get our epoxy. You just need one thin layer of epoxy. Okay, guys, and I also want to say that if you want to paint your tumbler, so like spray paint it with the base coats of the colors you're going to use, you could do that also. But it's not necessary. It's not mandatory, like, because when you epoxy and you put the glitter, it literally covers the entire tumbler. So go ahead and take your epoxy and go ahead and fill cover the entire tumbler with the resin. I am using a fast set epoxy from Hog. This is their Hog Speed brand fast set. It dries in like 2 hours. And this is actually the smallest Milky Way I've ever done. This 20 ounce it looks smaller than this 20 ounce skinny. And don't forget to get the bottom. So go ahead and the reason why you want to sand it, if you're not going to spray paint it and you sand it, you're going to need to sand it if you're not going to spray paint it, because when you put a coat of epoxy onto the tumbler, it'll make like little fish eyes. So if you don't sand like this white paint or white whatever stuff they use on here, you have to get all that off. So here's just a nice thin coat. And again, like I said, make sure you get the bottom. And then go ahead and choose your favorite color glitters. So I use Be Glittery. I'm doing pink and purple. So Cheshire, Bombshell, and Rapunzel. And then I also got this pink from Little Bo Gingy. So this is what I'm gonna use. Also, it doesn't matter if you mix chunky and non-chunky or all chunky. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter. So pick which color you're gonna start with. I'm gonna start here with Cheshire. And go ahead, don't forget to get the bottom. You kind of just want to make sure it's like even. Go in with your next color. When you use fine glitter, you will have to go over it a few times. Just an FYI. And I'm gonna go in with Rapunzel. Bombshell. Actually added high maintenance to this mixture here. And you definitely want it to kind of bleed into the other colors. So don't worry if that happens, because that's what you want. That's like a natural ombre, I guess you can say. So you definitely want it to bleed into the other colors. I'll just go back over all of them with the second coat, especially the especially the fine glitters, you're definitely gonna need another coat. Now what you want to do, now that you have it all on there, while we're waiting for it to dry, go ahead and clean your rim, the rim of your tumbler. Tell me this is not giving you cheerleader vibes. These colors are super cute. It's giving me cheerleaders. So, and then just go ahead and start patting down your pieces that didn't lay flat. And you can also take your some parchment paper and also just kind of press down on it so that you want all those chunky pieces to lay flat. Minimize as much sanding as possible. That is the purpose of using epoxy, because usually with chunky glitter, you do too much sanding. With the epoxy, you don't need to do all that. So, like I said, just go ahead. You can use your fingers too. See, try not to move it. See, I kind of moved it a little bit. And then once this dries, we're gonna go over it and put another coat of epoxy. And then we'll sand it, add another coat of epoxy, and then we'll do the Milky Way. Okay guys, so now it's dry. Now you're gonna go ahead and cover it. You can sort of kind of flood coat it if you want to. You want a nice thick coat on the top, and you could do one of two things. You can put your epoxy on this coat and let it completely dry before moving to step 2, or you can apply this coat of epoxy, wait about 20 minutes until after you pop your bubbles and all that, and then you can do step 3, which is add the Milky Way line. So I do both sometimes. It just depends on how flat I had my glitter lay. This one seems pretty flat, but I'm still just gonna wait. But I just wanted to give you that tip just in case you didn't know, because you literally don't have to let this dry before adding the Milky Ways. But you can, because we will this time, since we're gonna sand, because I feel like it's gonna need a little bit of sanding right here on the bottom, on these edges right here. So go ahead and add your nice flood coat on top. And then actually, and if you're using the fast set epoxy and you have your heater on, so I have my heater on here in my garage and it's really warm in here, so it dried in literally like an hour. So if you use fast set epoxy and it's cold where you are and you got your heater on, you'd be in the game. Because I was expecting 2 to 3 hours, but here I am again in an hour. Okay guys, so now's the fun part. So it's already dry. This is the last coat that we put. So what you're gonna do is coat it once more. This one doesn't have to be a flood coat. This one could be a thin layer. This one could be a really thin layer. I actually already sanded this too. I forgot to mention that. So after the first coat, go ahead and do your little sanding that you're gonna do, and then apply this coat of epoxy. So once you got that coat of epoxy on there, now you're going to take some acrylic paint with the leftover epoxy that you have in your cup. You can use 2 colors, 1 color, it doesn't matter. I usually like to just use white on these. but if I want some extra, I'll add like pink or purple, but you obviously want to use a lighter purple or a darker purple or a lighter pink or a darker pink. You don't want to blend your colors in. So this is the acrylic paint I'm going to use, this Craft Smart, and then I'm going to use this fuchsia. So I'm just going to split up this extra epoxy that I have into 2 separate cups. And you don't need a lot. You could literally just keep it like that and like that. And for you definitely want to put a lot of acrylic paint in it. The reason being is because you want your epoxy to be tacky. So you want it to stretch like slime, I guess you could say that. Oops, I almost dropped something. You want it to, yeah, literally you want it to stretch like it's slime. That's how you get the best Milky Ways, and that's how you get it to not continue to move around the cup and spread with the epoxy. So if you're, that's just my tip. You could, I mean, you could really do it how you want, but that's how I get the best Milky Ways, is when my epoxy is tacky. And that's usually happens when I clump up the acrylic paint into the, see, so it's kind of like gooey. That's what you want. So first I'm gonna go in with the white. So this has no rhyme or reason to it. Like literally a Milky Way will always come out gorgeous as long as you don't overdo it. So literally just boom. Don't be scared, just go. And you wanna go in the same direction as your stripes. So if your stripes are going the opposite way, do them the opposite way. And some people, you'll see some people smearing their stripes around with their finger. I hate that technique. It looks crazy afterwards. I don't like how they look after. So I'm not going to recommend that to you. But if you want to look up Milky Way tumblers like on YouTube or something, you'll see people use other techniques and you can find what's best for you. But I am not going to show you that because it's hideous in my opinion. So now I'm going to take this pink and I'm just going to go over the purple areas just lightly. And you could also do this with purple over the pink areas as well. Put a little bit on the pink, see if it blends. So there, like I said, you definitely don't want to overdo it. So once you feel like you have enough, let it go and then just let it spin. And two, also what I didn't do, but it's okay, you do not want to take your heat gun after you did the lines. Everything will blend together and mesh and become a big old mess. So put your first layer of epoxy, then take your heat gun or your torch and heat it up, and then let it cool for a few minutes, and then go ahead and apply your stripes. And if you ever feel like you have too much, literally take your finger or just take your stick and scrape it off. Scrape it off where you feel like you have too much. And then just take it and then boom. This is how I do my Milky Ways, and I think they come out good every time. So boom, there we go. This is your Milky Way, and then you're gonna let this dry, add your last layer of epoxy, and then it's done.